Section 2 of The Boy Apprenticed to an Enchanter. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Amber Holcomb. The Boy Who Apprenticed to an Enchanter by Pádraic, Colum. The Inaccessible Island. You have heard me so far, O King. Know now that the one whom I was apprenticed was an enchanter. His name is Zabulon. And in all the world there were only 3 enchanters more powerful than he. The first is Chiron the centaur, who is half man and half horse, and who taught Achilles and made him the greatest of the princes who had gone against Troy. The second is Hermes Trismegistus, the wise Egyptian, and the third is Merlin the enchanter, whose home is in an island that is west of your western island. When the night came on, Zabulon took the steering gear into his hands, and he steered the ship by a star that he alone knew. When the morning came, we saw on the sea all around us the masts and the spars and the timbers of the ships that had come too near to the Magneberg, and that had lost their nails and bolts and had become loosened timbers on the waters. Those on the ship were greatly afraid, and the captain walked up and down, pulling at his beard. The night came on, and again my master took the steering gear into his own hands and steered the ship by a star that he alone knew of. And when the morning came, there were no masts and the spars of ships, and no loosened timbers afloat on the waters. The captain laughed and made all on the ship rejoice that they had passed the dangerous neighborhood of the Magneberg, that mountain of lodestone that drew the iron out of ships as a magnet draws pens on a table. We came to Earth. The great cargo that was on the ship was for the king of Earth, and it was taken off and set over the mountain to the king's city in packs that the sailors carried on their backs. Then the captain gave the ship over to my master to sail it where he would. He did not come upon the land, nor did he look upon the country at all. But when the last pack had been carried off the ship, he said to me, "You will have to do this, my first command to you. Go on the land. Stay by a pool that is close to the forest. Birds will come down to that pool, birds of the whiteness of swans, but smaller. Set snares and catch some of these birds, not less than 4, and bring them to me uninjured." And I went on the land and came to the pool that was close to the forest. And there I saw the birds that were of the whiteness of swans, but smaller. I watched them for a while, so that I might know their ways. Then I made a crib of rods, and set it to catch the birds. One went under the crib, and I pulled the string, and caught the first bird. And then hours afterward, I caught another. And waiting and watching very carefully, I caught a third. The 4th bird was wary, and I feared I should not catch it, for the night was coming down, and the birds were making flocks to fly away. One remained near the crib, and its neck was stretched toward it. But then it shook its wings, and I thought it was going to fly to the others. It went under the crib. Then I pulled the string and caught the 4th bird. I brought the birds to the ship, and my master gave them grains to feed on. At night we sailed away. My master held the steering gear while it was dark, but when the light came he gave it to me to hold. Then he unloosed one of the birds. It flew in the middle distance, winging slowly and remaining a long time in sight. He told me to hold the course of the ship to the flight of the bird. At night he took the steering gear again into his hands and held the ship on her course. In the daylight he unloosed another bird and bade me steer by its flight. And this was done for 2 more days. The morning after the last of the white birds had been freed, my master bade me look out for land. I saw something low upon the water. "It is the Inaccessible Island," said my master, "where I have my dwelling and my working place." He steered the ship to where the water flowed swiftly into a great cave that was like a dragon's mouth. In that cave there was a place for the mooring of ships. The enchanter moored the ship into its place, and then he took me up the rocky landing place. There was a flight of great steps leading from the landing place. It was in a cave, as I have told you, up to the light of day. There were 1,000 wide black steps in that flight. The enchanter took into his hands the black staff that was shaped as 2 serpents twisting together, and he took me with him up the stairway. We came on a level place, and I saw a high castle before me. There was no wall around the castle, and there was no gate to be opened. But when I came near it, I found I could take no step onward. I went up, and I went down, and I tried to go onward, but I could not. Then Zabulon, the enchanter, said to me, "Around this castle of mine is a wall of air. No one can see the wall, but no one can pass it. And a bridge of air crosses my wall of air. Come now with me, and I will take you over the bridge." As the wall of air that went around the enchanter's castle was not to be seen, neither was the bridge that went across the wall of air. But I saw my master mounting up and walking across as on a bridge. And although I saw nothing before me nor beneath me, I mounted upon something and walked across something. Following him, I went downward and into the courtyard of the castle. Within that courtyard there was a horse of brass with a giant man of brass upon it, the giant man holding a great bow in his hands. My master said to me, "If one came over the bridge of air without my authority, the arrow of that bow would be loosened, and he who came across the bridge would be slain by this giant man of brass." We went within the castle. In the hall were benches and tables, and there were statues holding torches in their hands, standing by the wall. Also in that hall there was a statue of a woman holding a dart in her hand. When my master came within, the statue that held the dart flung it, and the dart struck a gleaming carbuncle that was in the wall. Lights came into the torches that the statues held, and all the hall was lighted up. I sat with my master at a table, and the statues moved to us, bringing us wine and fruits. We ate and drank, and afterward a golden figure came to the enchanter, and sitting down before him, played a game of chess with him. The next day my master showed me more of the wonders of the inaccessible island. No ships came near, for there was no way to come to that island except by following the birds that were of the whiteness of a swan, and that flew always in the middle distance. On this island Zabulon the enchanter had lived for longer than the lifetimes of many men, studying magic and all of the ways of enchantment. And for 3 years I, Ian, the son of the fisherman of the western island, stayed with him, learning such things as were proper for one apprenticed to an enchanter to know. End of section 2.